Hello, welcome. Welcome to Aginext London conference, which we are doing this year online, as you can see. And I'm delighted to have you listen to me speaking about this fantastic beast, about Agile coaches and Scrum Masters and where to find them. So over the next 30, 40 minutes, I will be speaking to you about some of the experiences we're seeing out there in the industry regarding this new role, which is not that new actually, but it seems to be creating quite a lot of confusion. So sort out my person. My name is Almudena Rodriguez Pardo, as you can imagine, born in Spain. I am business agility consultant for agile methodologies. I do have a strong technical background. I am an engineer. I was working 22 years for the company Ericsson, so I've been part of Scrum teams, also involved in quality, also involved in market support. And I'm an international speaker. I'm presenting many Agile conferences because I think it's really important to hear listen also to other colleagues trying to find out where are we heading for in the Agile methodologies. And I'm also licensed trainer for Scale Agile Framework, for Management 3.0, and for IC Agile Business Agility Foundations. So that's me, and that's my Twitter. I'm happy to hear about you over Twitter. And my company, we have quite a few services. We are Agile consultants, run trainings, awareness talks like this one here, support Agile transformations, and we're also supporting companies when hiring Agile profiles. It's not that easy for for a company going new into agility to say what's a product owner, what's an Agile coach, do I really need a Scrum Master for each team? So that we're supporting companies with all these questions. And that is when this talk was born. So the very time I got inspired to speak about this was beginning of 2020 now at the Agile conference in Tampere, where I ran into the guys from Go for wearing these t-shirts. And you can think, oh my God, Go for must be a terrible company where people are really desperate to work. Nobody wants to work there. Like, no way. I mean, it's a fantastic company. I've been there in Helsinki. You can bring your kids. They have sleepers for you to wear. I mean, really an impressive company. And I was about to sign up, for this Agile coach position. So if such good companies are so desperate to find this role, what's happening in the working market, or what is wrong that we don't have these people available? Now, if we take a look to the positions announced out there, and those are only two of the hundreds of the one running around, I have taken one in English and one in Spanish. I mean, the right one you can see, like they were asking for Scrum Master with 4 years experience to go work in Barcelona, but the sprint plan is in Germany and need to speak German, English, and Spanish. Wow. And of course, a lot of technical background. The one to the left is even better. He has to have knowledge of project management. He has to understand about requirements. He has to know how to run a project. He has to be able to control the cost. He has to be able to generate reports and control KPIs. And of course, needs a huge amount of technical knowledges and very high English language. At the very bottom, you see, it's nice if you know some agile methodologies, and it will be nice to have a certification in Scrum. We have the feeling we are looking for Superman. So many companies put an announcement without exactly knowing what they need. And maybe they don't need a Scrum Master at all. But when this role come up, this fantastic Superman Scrum Master, when has this been born? It's not really much help if you take a deeper look into the social media. Because there we have a huge confusion with the naming convention. Agile Coach is very widespread. And to be honest, I personally don't like it because it's a huge umbrella where you can find anything. It's not clearly defined in the literature what is really expected from an Agile coach. There's several definitions or people wanting to define it, but it's a bit fuzzy. Then you have people in LinkedIn describing themselves as Agile enthusiasts, which I'm happy people are enthusiastic about something. But what it is telling me about this person's skills, or Agile Evangelist. For me personally, this sounds a bit fundamentalist, but I couldn't tell I'm evangelist, even I speak a lot about agility, but of course, it's only my private opinion. I don't know, would you hire an Agile Evangelist? So what are the skills behind? What is this person bringing? Then you have a bit, going back to roots, team facilitator is okay. It's good for the teams. Yes. Is what you need only apply to the teams? Business agilizer is not bad either. Here we don't speak about teams. Again, what is this person bringing in my company? Agilizing the business. Kanban Master, because of course Scrum Masters, we are taking it over in the Kanban somehow or something. We're having Kanban teams. Some of them have a facilitator. Some people have the title Kanban Master. So we're getting more and more confusion. Change agents. Yes, we need them. Finally, we need change agents. Scrum Manager. That's for me the most confusing one. What does management has to do with the Scrum directly? Is this person Scrum Master? So this is bringing us a lot of confusion and then a bit of philosophy, and Agile thinker, which I'm sure we can need it too. I think we need it all. We need all these confused, soft skill described roles. We need them all in the company. How do we get this one profile? Or even better, when was this born? We began to hear about cross-functional teams or end-to-end teams in the 80s. I think it was 1986 when we had this beautiful article written, the new product development game, where they mentioned, I think one of the first time it was mentioned, this end-to-end team, these cross-functional teams. But no team facilitator was mentioned at this point in time. Then we had Mary Popendick with her fantastic lean software development. She speaks about engineer teams who have a problem and find a solution end to end. But Mary doesn't mention any facilitator. Then we have the Kanban. When Kanban just was documented in the excellent book from Anderson, he speaks about Kanban, even I think Kanban teams are mentioned, but there is no facilitator included either. And 2001, the Agile Manifesto came. And here we had 12 principles, 4 values. We have one ceremony mentioned, the retrospective, but there's no facilitator. Yes, we need teams. Yes, we have teams doing software. We need empowered teams. No facilitation mentioned. It was in XP, is Extreme Programming Applied. This one book, for the first time, mentions in one paragraph the role of a coach who supports the team and gives them opportunities for improvement. Here's the first time we see this figure mentioned. And then, of course, there it came, the Scrum Guide. The Scrum Guide is the first time we have a clear description of what we're supposed to have in the responsibilities applied to the role here called Scrum Master. I'm not sure if master was the best word to be taken to describe this role, but by now it's in the literature and we will not change it anymore. People who don't like Scrum Master take Agile Coach, which is assumed to be pretty similar to the Scrum Master, but this is nowhere really clarified. So we have here at least some clear definition when Scrum was created of what we were supposed to be expecting on this role. Now, when it comes about profile, and in this slide, I say Agile Coach, but we can also say Scrum Master, and we could also call it here Team Facilitator. From my experience, they are pretty much alike. What are the aspects or the skills we are supposed to take a closer look at when we're trying to get this person on the boat, where we need Agile Coaches or Scrum Masters in our organization? On the one hand, we expect these persons to know a bit about agility. We assume these persons have some knowledge of agility, should know about methods, should know, I don't want to say he has some certifications. Having certifications is mostly good. Doesn't mean this person knows agility, but should have some knowledge, some experience in area of agile methodologies. That's definitely something we all expect. It would be nice. It has some technical background. Maybe some of the Scrum Master Agile coaches come from the engineering. 80% of the ones I know have been an engineer before, but I still note about 20% who are not an engineer background or no technology background, and they can also be very good Agile coaches. And very important factor from my point of view, the one we're sometimes missing, social skills, soft skills. Is this person a communicator? How can this person handle conflicts? Has any mediator knowledge? How can this person coach a team? So those are the three areas which I personally consider are crucial when it comes to choose a person who's going to be the Agile coach or Scrum Master in your company. To find somebody who has all these areas is definitely a fantastic creature. So I think I've seen in my working life, I can count them with one hand, and I still have a couple of fingers too much. Somebody who really targets these three areas, who understands the technology, who has a deep agile knowledge, and has the soft skill to coach, nurture, mediate, and handle conflicts. So, well, we have to make some compromise. And by the way, the market is a disaster. I get, I would say, weekly a request over LinkedIn or email. Almudena, we need somebody. We need an Agile coach. We need a Scrum Master. Do you have anybody? I said, oh, yes, they grow in the trees. Wait, I'll pick up one. We have a war for talent, generally speaking, and we have definitely a war for talent when it comes to Agile coaches. So at this moment, I would say make a compromise. If we find somebody who has a technical knowledge and soft skill, this person is from his character, from his personality, he's a coach. We can nurture him in Agile methodologies, send him to a couple of courses, bring him to a conference like this one here. We can make him grow in the Agile world, but he has a strong background. So we can get this person on the boat, take that one. If you have somebody with very good soft skill, a great communicator, with Agile knowledge, who has several certifications, who is also presenting in one of these conferences, who knows agility, with no technological background, take him too, because I've seen this work. I know a couple of excellent Scrum Masters. I know one here in Aachen who is a school teacher and still a fantastic Scrum Master. If you have somebody with technological background who has some Agile knowledge, but from his personality, he's an idiot, don't take this person. He's not prepared to empathize with the team. This person is wrong. So that is the compromise I wouldn't recommend. So that's to give you a flavor what to do when trying to hire a Scrum Master and Agile coach for the teams. Those are several of the many soft skills we might require. I mean, this person has to be able to nurture people to grow. He must have some juniors joining the team who know nothing about the company and just left university. How do you put these people together with seniors? How do you make them grow? Can you secure somebody's going to take care of pairing? Or you will have a lot of conflicts whenever a bunch of people get together, and we want diversity. We need diversity in the teams. We have to have diversity. Diversity brings sometimes conflicts. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. This person has to be able, and I've seen a couple of times very professional Scrum Master handling conflicts, and a couple of times where they were not prepared and they have called management to interfere. which wasn't much help. And has to make the team grow in a way that they can handle the problems by themselves. But we will go a bit deep into this when we go into the 4 steps of the Scrum Master model. We have the Blanchard-Hersey situational leadership model, where they clearly describe, taking in consideration Tuckman, the 4 steps of the maturity of a team, how the leadership, situational leadership, behaves related to this maturity. You have a brand new team, you might be quite directive, no? That's the corner to the right. If this team starts growing, you still run a lot of coaching. Probably is the phase where this team is storming. And you start giving there a bit more of empowerment, but still have to be present and coaching. At some point, the team gets in more of an norming phase, and then you can be, as a leader, you can be supporting. Until the team is so mature and so high performance and so self-organized that you can be running to the delegating area. Just observe. Now, how can we map this Blanchard and Hersey to the Scrum Master or Agile Coach role? And here, Angel Medinilla has done a very good job. Angel Medinilla defined the Scrum Master model. What's it when we get a team together, a brand new Scrum Master? And I've seen this a few years ago, where the first Scrum teams in my company got together. We had the Scrum Dude. It was the guy who has read, or the girl who has read the Scrum Guide. And came, okay, now we have to stand up. Yeah, 15 minutes. Okay, and now 2 weeks later, we need a retrospective. What happened? What did you like? Let me read again through Scrum Guide. Yeah, okay, we have to see what we want to improve. So mostly in this phase, the Scrum Masters are still lost in space. New teams, people who just joined the role, probably following the Scrum Guide period, but it's the way to get started. I think many teams get started like this, and we got started like that. Now, the next step is the Scrum Mom. Beautiful one. Well, the Scrum Master understands he has to protect the team. And they really protect the team. And secure impediments are taken away, and the Scrum Mom secures itself. No, I take care of my team. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to go to this manager and speak to him a very hard word. Beautiful face, the Scrum Mom. Very good help for the team to have a Scrum Mom for a while. While the team is growing, Scrum Mom is great. Once the team starts to get mature, it's like these kids who are 40 and still live at their moms, and mom is cooking and washing for them every day. So at some point, the whole thing might get a bit, the faces are missing. So I say, hey, these kids don't need a mom anymore. So this team needs something else as a coach. And here we move into the Scrum Master as such, where you don't coach the team anymore, but you go to a step behind and you delegate. You give them the responsibilities. You don't remove the impediments for them anymore, but the team start doing them themselves with your support. Your support for the team, you are there for them, but you secure that they are growing and not you doing the cooking and the washing for them. So that's the point we should get when a team is already performing. At some point, we have the Agile Nirvana, where the Scrum Master sits there, watches and reflects. Sometimes that's the point in time where Scrum Masters are fired. Not nice. Does it mean when we are in the Agile Nirvana, we don't need a Scrum Master or Agile coaches anymore? No. Actually, the opposite is the case. Think of any #1 tennis player. Let's take Rafael Nadal. He's the best tennis player in the world. Maybe it's #2 or #3 right now. He has the best tennis trainer in the world. And this guy who's making a huge amount of money is just sitting around watching Rafael, how he's training, thinking and reflecting. I mean, does it mean Rafael Nadal doesn't need a trainer anymore? No, he does need him. Even if this guy says 1 sentence a day, this sentence is needed. So don't consider it as a complete mature Agile team doesn't need a coach anymore. So even this Agile Nirvana, here we have to have somebody who is there for the team. Because even the most mature teams, you might still have a conflict, for example, are human beings together. So this is the model that Ángel Medinilla developed, and I've observed it in many companies. Now I've said one of these 4 steps. What plays a huge role regarding agile coaching of teams is that to have the agile coach or Scrum Master only 1 step ahead of the team. So an Agile Nirvana, Agile Sensei, Scrum Master for a beginner team, it's not a great help, because if the Scrum Master only reflects and the team is lost in space and needs some directives, might not be the best help. And to have a Scrum Mom with a team which is completely mature, it will get on the nerves of the team, which will be right. So you have to consider the maturity level of a Scrum Master is closely related to the maturity level of the team. And these people, even if they're this Agile Nirvana position, the competence building never stops. They are continuously concretely into the Agile development and the soft skill. I see Agile coaches continuously developing, whether it has to go towards neuroscience, areas introducing some meditation into the team because they are all quite stressed, or looking into agility at scale, and that's the next thing we're going to look into, or maybe we're in nonviolent communication because we have so many mediations required. Maybe want to apply some liberating structures with the team, or maybe he wants to go for certification as systemic coach. It never ends. All the competence building these agile coaches can look into, it never ends. So consider this person have a lot of ongoing and a lot of challenges. But we just mentioned agile at a scale. We've spoken so far about teams. And we've spoken how we can coach, support, nurture teams, but this is not enough. How many of you are running a company, 1, 2, or 3 teams? Most of the organization nowadays, we are looking a completely different direction. We're speaking about agile at scale. And here we've realized we need to go 1 step further. I mean, we speak from team of teams in LESS, in the Scale Agile framework. I don't know how familiar you are with the Scale Agile framework. I'm personally like it. I know it awakes a lot of emotions. It is for today the most applied scale agile at scale framework. If you're using another one, perfectly fine. For me, it's not about teams anymore. We have to go 1 step forward. We might have team of teams, which in a Scale Agile framework are called trains. And then you have train of trains called solution trains. Who is coaching these organizations? Who is coaching on this level? Because we don't have 1 small team anymore. So we need to go 1 step up. And the Scale Agile framework for the Scrum of Scrums or team of teams or whatever we want to call it has the name Release Stream Engineer, which is the Agile coach for about 150 people. And then you have the Solution Train Engineer, which is the Agile coach for around 400, 500 people. And I personally miss, and I hope at some point it will come, what for me will be the Enterprise Agile coach, who is taking care of the Agile coaching of the complete enterprise. Mostly end up being a team. Maybe you have some lean Agile Center of Excellence, but we also need there an organization. So we need different perspectives. It's not about hierarchy. It's not that we're trying to say the chef or the Scrum Master. I don't like it when I hear this. It's about creating some granularity. We might need team support. We might need organization support, or we might need team of team support. There are different problems and challenges we are facing there. So let's take a closer look at this Release Train Engineer. If you want to call it in a different way, I'm also happy, but I've realized when speaking with other Agile coaches, however, whenever I mention this role on level of 150 people Agile coaching, there's even more confusion about the name when we speak about teams, and it's difficult to have even more confusion. What's the profile we require, for example, for a release train engineer, the Agile Coach from 150 people working on the same product? Yes, as you might assume, he does need to have some Agile knowledge. I'm not going to say now he needs a Scale Agile Framework course, of course helps, but any sort of training this person, he has to have a few organizational skills in Agile and some sound knowledge of Agile methodologies, yes. Mostly it's a great help if this person has some knowledge on technology related to the product. When you speak about continuous integration strategy, it's great if the restraint engineer has a background, what we're speaking about for most of the cases. Yes, again, crucial soft skill. This person might be discussing with quite a lot of managers where he needs to create some coordination. He might need to moderate some discussions related to not only the teams, also the product. We have to secure these soft skills are in place. And this person has to understand the business. I'm not saying he has to substitute the product ownership. He has to understand the product owner because he's going to be closely working with product ownership and with product management. He might be coaching or driving the synchronization meeting for the product owners. He might be supporting the product management when running backlog refinement meetings. He has to understand the business. It's not that he has to have a deep knowledge of the business, but understand what the business is heading for. I sometimes run into Agile coaches who say, oh, Almudena, I take care of the people side. I say, fantastic. But we have to take care of the business. I mean, that's paying our salaries. So it has to be a balance between all these aspects. And so the release train engineer or the Agile coach on Scrum level gets some more further perspective. So it gets more complicated. And yes, as you might as well assume, this is also a fantastic creature which is very difficult to find. My personal recommendation regarding this profile, again, secure the soft skills. These people can learn almost everything, but having the soft skills to be a communicator, to run a big room planning, coordinate 120 people, security skills are in place. Most of the other things you can learn. And if there's no technical background, still we can have a good release train engineer. Now let's go one step further up. Let's move to the enterprise coach, the one I told you doesn't exist in SAFe so far, and the person I very much miss in many organizations who is taking care of the agile transformation or agile development on enterprise level. And I had an interview with Fernando Sánchez-Martin, who is the enterprise coach at Ubeco, who, by the way, when he saw this presentation said, Almudena, I am the only one who is not a monster in these slides. I said, you are right. I'm going to do a disclaimer. Disclaimer, Fernando is not a monster. Anybody else in these slides was. So when speaking to Fernando, how do you coach an enterprise? And it was very interesting what came out of this. What came out was speaking to the people one by one. No big meetings, no department meetings, enterprise meetings, general assemblies where I give the direction of the agile transformation. One by one in the cafeteria. So when you have to pick up the persons as human beings. And he works on the culture. That is the main thing to work with. You have to look at the culture. Try to be friends with the culture. Some cultures are a bit harder, a bit old-fashioned, but you have to be friends with it and say, okay, and here we have to work together and move. You have to influence the culture. You cannot change it, but you can influence it. And changing the organization at some point, it pulls the culture on the boat. So he keeps always an eye on the culture of the company and secures a common language. There's no help if we have Agile department and non-agile departments. And I've been in this situation. I've worked in a company where I had, oh, Mrs. Rodriguez, yes, the agile departments are on the right side. Then what's on the left side? No, they are not agile. We want to avoid this situation. We need a systemic view on company level. So Fernando said he secures, he creates a common language in all support functions, gets little by little everybody on the boat, that everybody understands when we say we have an agile transformation, everybody has the same understanding. What are we heading for? People can change. Yes, it's possible to change people when the environment changes. I've seen it also with simple architectonical changes when we created open offices and we were tearing walls away from small cubicles. People who were reluctant to collaborate and were sending a mail to talk to somebody in the same room. By not having this wall in between, they suddenly put their head up and spoke. So we made people change in the way of collaboration just by taking some walls away. So by any influence on the environment, you can create some change on people. And very important aspect really struck me when speaking with Fernando. He mentioned that he really sits one by one also with the C-level, trying to understand them, because they are also human beings and they're also afraid of some changes. And they are facing also a lot of challenges, different ones than the teams. So this mentoring of C-level plays a huge role, and that's something when running agile transformation. Saying we have a lot of agile coaches all over the place. Say, who is mentoring C-level? Who is talking to our board? Who is supporting them? Very strong partnership with human resources. That's where introducing in all companies. Secure human resources is on the boat. Talk to them because they are hiring these roles. Do they know what they need? At a company like Rebe Digital in Cologne, human resources sits together with the teams to get to feel what are the roles which are required. We cannot afford anymore this 3 months hiring process. We cannot afford this. We have a war for talent. If Scrum Master gives you the CV, he also gave it to another 4 companies. If he's going to wait 3 months for you to answer, he's already gone. So we have to strongly reduce the feedback cycle when hiring. So partnership with human resources is crucial. So these are some of the takeaways I want to give you, inspire you when speaking about an enterprise coach in a company. And yes, it's a hard role. Fernando mentioned 24/7. It's a hard role. You are there for everybody. Sometimes for these small, tiny questions. So it is really a hard job. Don't think Scrum Master is the guy drinking coffee all the time. So now, what does this enterprise coach need on top of everything we've seen? We see one more perspective. This person has to understand the vision and strategy of the company. I'm not saying he has to create it, that's the person defining it, but has to understand, has to have a communication with the C-level, that the leadership team communicates the enterprise coach in such a way that he has an understanding on what's the strategy and vision of this company. And as you might imagine, yes, this person is definitely a fantastic beast. I think I know 2 of them where I would say, yes, that's the right person. So if you have one, please make sure he doesn't run away. Now, takes away from this talk, which I'm really happy you've been here listening to me. It's not only about coaching or supporting or developing teams. We've been speaking about teams and the best way to coach a team. Yes, we still are not there. We still have a lot to improve, but it's not anymore about teams. It's one step farther. Now we're speaking about coaching organizations. And as we see, we need there some more perspectives. Yes, we do need a lot of basic. It's good when the Agile enterprise coaches come from the teams. It's very good, but they need more. The enterprise coach also needs an authority and respect. And change agent has to have absolute support of management. If the enterprise coaches don't have this authority, they won't get very far. If we have somebody symbolic in this role that it looks beautiful, but he has zero empowerment, he won't get very far. He will only get frustrated. It is very difficult to find this person in the market. So I strongly recommend to find somebody with the potential and nurture him. Give him the trainings he required, send him to all certifications he required, make sure he gets the right coaching to put him in place. So to find it on the market is getting very, very difficult. And as for today, how do we find the right people for this role, Almudena, you just described? Personally, it seems as for today that in portals like LinkedIn through recommendation, we are targeting the best people. So only on a CV paper to sign that's the right person, somebody you've never heard about, you might be lucky. But it's getting really difficult. That's the reason right now we are back to strongly to recommendation for hiring these roles. Now, really, thank you very much for listening to me, and feel free to contact me in any of these channels. You can send me a mail or Twitter or over LinkedIn or Sing. I'll be happy to answer any detailed questions you might have on everything I've been presenting, on my impressions of the Agile Coach and Scrum Master world. And I will be happy to hear from you. And again, thank you very much. And yeah, hope to see you at the next Aginext conference. Bye-bye.